Welcome to the LowCarbUSA podcast, where we seek to inspire you to help us build this community. I'm Doug Reynolds.
And this is Pam Devine.
Okay, so I'm busy losing my voice, so hopefully this goes okay. But Gaby and Loly, welcome. So we bumped into them. We now still in the hotel post our Boca 2020 event, and we bumped into them in the hotel foyer on the Thursday night and the night before the thing started. And I was just telling them beforehand, you know, we didn't feel that we got that much out of that event in West Palm Beach in last year, 2019, right? And these two were like bouncing around and bubbling and whatever, and they told us a story about why they'd come to the event, where they were in their coaching process and the influencing process, and how much they had been inspired by that, being at that conference and what had transpired in that following year, and literally brought me to tears.
I'm sorry.
Because it was really, really inspiring for me and for Pam. For, you know, this is why we do this, is that if we can inspire just one person to go on and influence a bunch of other people, that is just so awesome. Why don't you just, with hopefully as much enthusiasm as you had on Thursday night, tell that story again.
We can help with one.
Yeah, the one.
Cheers first. So we're enjoying dry farm wines while we're here after the Boca event in Florida.
It's okay. So last year, first time, didn't even know this existed.
Did you two know each other first, by the way?
We actually met 2 months before that event.
Okay.
We were in Mexico at another event, was absolutely Latin America, all in Spanish, and that's how we met.
Nutrition event. It was about nutrition. Yeah.
Nutrition, low carb nutrition, or just nutrition?
It was just like
kind
nutrition, sort
no
of
sugar.
Yeah, no sugar. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, the big movement that is happening right now in Latin America, and it's no sugar. Mm-hmm. Is can we say bad words in this?
Yeah,
kind of.
Depends how bad.
It's F sugar. That is actually the
name. Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
okay.
the name of it.
Yeah, sugar. Well, but the whole word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not only the S.
It's not just hashtags.
So we're part of that, and then of course we knew we were in the right path, but we also knew how unattended the Latin American community was and how starving in information it was. But at that time, our social media and services were in English because, well, I'm married to an American man, and I live here I'm here in the States. So I thought that the right thing to do is like, you do as Romans do. And, you know, this is my country, this is my nation now, so I'm just going to respect that. But I was forgetting something, that it was the why. And the why is just to serve. And you have to serve the ones in need. So I understood that nobody is going to look for someone with an accent when there are many other ones that know more than you do, that manage the information better than you do. That's what I thought back then. And they speak the language with an accent. And that's when I remember just the first day and the first presentation I saw, I felt like I don't know anything. I feel like the dumbest person in this room. But that was just the best thing, because I remember saying, that means that there is so much I have to learn. And that's when I just like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then everything was in English. I'm thinking in English. I went to college in New York and in Boston. So I'm used to learn in English, but I'm also used to translating my head because that's my mother tongue. And that process happens in Spanish. And I remember just like doing and translating in my head in order just to put the words together. And then I remember just saying like, what am I doing? This information is so like, it's so perfect. It's right there. It's just coming out of the oven. And I'm keeping it to myself and just reproducing it to the void. Like nobody's listening to me. It's listening to me. I need to just do.
And your voice in Espanol in your head.
I have a pretty voice in Spanish, way prettier than in English. In English, I'm actually very nasal. In Spanish, it's cuter.
Cute anyway, but.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, it's like a little raspier in Spanish. That's a fact. And that's when I just decided to change my social media. But at that time, it changed to 3,000 followers, like the biggest deal ever. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, 3,000 people just listening to what you have to say in a different language with an accent.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was just sitting next to Loly when I saw that number change. And I was like, whoa. That's when the responsibility sank. And I just felt like, wow, I have work to do. And nobody gave it to me. It was not a contract that I signed or a job assignment. It was the responsibility that I felt. I'm a teacher. And I'm like, now I have this knowledge. Now I have to understand it, put it into practice, and reproduce it. This is not okay. I will be I forgot the word. But when you see a crime happening and you don't say something, well, we're gonna find that word.
Not anonymous. We'll find that word later.
Well, you're gonna find that
word. Your English-speaking friends have been absolutely no use to you, Dad.
I felt that was gonna be a crime because it's like, and actually a crime, because now I understand how many lives changed after we started talking about this in Spanish. And that's at that day, sitting on that room, the room that you guys put together, that's when I just got it and didn't know. I had no idea. I just got the message and I'm like, okay, now I have to go back to California and then just do what I know, which is literally just talk and connect with people.
Oh,
that is the thing. And it's like, do you want to still be part of the problem as a victim or as a perpetrator? If you don't say something, if you know something and you don't say it, you're a perpetrator. So you need to understand that absolutely everybody that attends to these events, once they bring home a little piece of information, whether it's a little bit, which is never a little bit, it's never little, it's a huge piece of information, you have the responsibility to reproduce it, to give it away, to make it bigger, to make it yours, to put your style and your stamp on it. And then you use your style to communicate. You're gonna get to someone, whether it's your mother, your neighbor, your community, your church community, whatever it is that you belong to. And that is something that you guys do as well. At the beginning of all this movement, which should not be a movement, but it had to start as a movement to reconcile with the original way of eating. And you feel alone. People look at you like, you don't eat carbs, or what are you doing? Oh, it's just a diet. Of course, you start feeling like you don't belong. And we as social animals, we need to belong to a community. And you fly miles, you get on a plane from San Francisco and you take 2 planes and you get here 2 days before because you want to belong, you have that need. Then when I saw that on myself, that's when I understood, wait a minute, these people are just like not these people, we are part of this community that we don't have that information. And that information is happening and I have access to it. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to speak English. Believe it or not, I speak English a little bit. But I do.
Very well, by the way.
I read English, I understand English, I need something with this. And it's not imposed. It's not like I have to learn this and I have to translate it and I have to fabricate it. It just happens because this is what I do, this is what I breathe, this is the way I live. And nowadays with social media, which is so easy to just turn it on and that's it, you're connecting with thousands of people around the world.
Yeah.
Use it with responsibility. Comes with a lot of responsibility.
So you left and you changed the whole mode. Now you're teaching in Espanol. So how did you, I think what people also need need to understand, because you've done so well at it, you need to explain how well you've done. But how, maybe explain as you're telling them how it grew, how that happened, how you made that happen. So if somebody else wants to copy you, they kind of they got a plan that they can follow.
To be perfectly honest, we also, as LowCarbUSA, we're not marketers. We started this as regular lay people. We thought we want to help people, we want to educate people, but we don't know how to, we're not marketers. We're not, allow that. So even for us, it's good to know, what did you start with? Did you have a plan, or did you just kind of come together, change it along the way?
I was following other accounts. Now talking about social media, I was following other accounts, and of course you start trying to understand what are they doing right as a consumer. It's like, how am I connecting to these accounts? Why am I consuming this? Whether it's style or information that they're sharing, and I understood that it's just all about giving. You start giving for free, and you put work on every single thing that you share, as if it's the most expensive project you're going to be paid for. You just do it for free. Because you're serving. That's your why. When your why is strong, the ways just show up. And that why is what keeps, the excellence, and people start building. I felt a very positive response. I always use this example in my practice and in life, the difference between reaction and response. If a doctor tells you that the patient is reacting to the treatment, that's bad news. If the doctor tells you that the patient is responding to the treatment, that's good news. So when you start measuring that, whether it's for the food you eat or the reaction or response you get from your interactions in social media, that's what actually shows you the way. There is no formula. It's just that response or reaction. And trolls, they're everywhere. And the bigger you grow, they're there. Right. And that's okay. And you need them actually to become stronger.
I know you feel like you want to try to do anything you can to avoid negative feedback or negative reactions, but you can't.
It's part of it. I mean, there's just light and dark. You need it. It's dysfunctional, but it's, I don't know.
No light without the darkness, I guess.
Absolutely, pretty much. But it was just giving and sharing information. And maybe at the beginning there was not much response, but I was just not doing it for the response. I was just doing it for just somebody's going to read this one day. But it was just happening. It was 500 views and 600 views. And then you're okay, but no interaction. And then when the interaction started happening, I understood that I needed to take time of my day to respond, to have that relationship and to build that relationship with the community. And that's when they felt even more catered. And that's when I understood this is where the value is. This is where what I'm doing is contributing. I don't know if I'm changing lives. I know I changed my life, my husband's life, my father's life, and my friend's life. But I don't know if I'm touching, but I know that I'm just part of a community. And that for me is big enough to assume it with responsibility and with such a sense of honor. And I wouldn't change it for anything. With a big price, you pay a price.
You still haven't told us how big you've grown.
Well, now I'm 36,000.
You were 30,000 on Thursday.
Yes, it grows very quickly, because then the community also is not only those. I don't like to call it, but that is just a name that is just given by social media or by this language is followers. They don't follow. They're not following. They're thinkers. And every time they tell me, I'm confused. I want you to get confused, because there's nothing more uncomfortable in life than to be confused. Go and search. Do not believe me. Go and just go and get the opposite of what I'm saying. Go and find information. Go and follow some different accounts, and then you just get whatever makes sense to you. use your common sense. Don't believe what I'm saying. Just, I'm not imposing you because that is something else. They're not paying you, so therefore you don't owe them anything. They don't have to do anything you're saying. You're just presenting information. And that's my speech. Just do it. Just give it a try. Just give it a try. I don't want to be right. I love to be right. I don't need you to tell me I'm right. I want you to feel that is the right thing for you to do. And how do you feel, and how do you, I don't know, how are you doing? There is your answer. I'm confused with that information about oat, because that was a big breakthrough for me in social media in Latin America. I dare to say oats are not a healthy food.
Oatmeal is not a
Is
healthy
that like
breakfast.
heresy?
It is. When you say oatmeal is not a healthy breakfast, goes against everything we've always
That's when
taught.
I reached the 10,000 followers in one night.
Oh.
From 6,000 to 10,000 in one night. People went ballistic. I got threats, is that the right word to say?
Threatened.
Yeah, what is ketosis?
Well, we're gonna burn your house. I mean, it's just like, you have no idea. We're gonna kill your dog. I mean, how?
Well, that's
oats?
a healthy response.
There's a lot of deficiencies.
Oh, right. How about that?
That's a lot of
Nutrient deficiency.
Nutrient deficiencies.
That's incredible. Wow.
Mhm.
Not the better about them wanting to burn. I mean, and they, with Ken Berry, you've seen, I mean, they literally in 7 months, they burned down his practice, and then they burned down his house.
Yeah,
So,
Not proven. Could
well,
have been an accident.
Could have been lightning.
Yeah, right.
But I bought his book the next day just to I'm just
Support.
This is one way to support
I
him,
bought
you know?
books for everybody. It's just like Christmas gift for everybody in September, whenever that happens. It's like, here.
Yeah, so I'm sorry that you're getting those threats, but it's just incredible that you feel that you want to spend all of this time and effort for nothing to take it to your community, and it's mind-boggling.
It was not for nothing, dog. It was for a lot.
Yeah, and in a way, the same way that I was overwhelmed just listening to you, and we're going to get to you still, just listening to you talking about how inspired you were by what we had put on. The same now is that I understand how you feel when you get those responses and you hear from all those people about how you've changed their lives. That's what makes you go back the next day and do it again. Right?
Absolutely, because you guys are the real game changers.
Love that.
So, but I mean, you've got a story too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Actually, it started with Gaby. She say, "Oh, happy Gaby." I think it works.
Happy Gaby.
Happy
Gaby.
And
I just
That's a
and
synonym.
just came out.
and
I think
Jolly
it works.
Loly.
Jolly
Jolly
Loly.
Loly.
There you go.
You see, it just
Yeah.
worked.
Well,
Well, the thing is that I met Gaby like 2 months before West Palm Beach conference, and then Gaby called me in December. I was in Boston, traveling with my husband from Boston to New York. I was in the airplane, just texting with Gaby, and she's like, "We need to go to West Palm Beach." And I was like, "Gaby, but do you think it's worth it?" At that point, I was a personal trainer, and I think this is very important. I didn't tell you this the day that you just cried, but the thing is that actually, I have a bachelor's degree in computer engineering. That's my first profession, and I used to work like that in Venezuela for a few years. You are so engineer. You see that we are connected.
Dave
Right.
Feldman,
You see?
all the top,
You see?
either Cummins.
You see, and I used to work in that in Venezuela for some time. I thought that was my profession, and then I just moved to the US, and I realized that it was not my passion. When I had the possibility to work, I was like, what I want to do like every day, I want to work in computer engineering, or what I'm gonna do. And I was like, you know what I'm very sure, I want to wake up every day thrilled about what I'm gonna do that day, and it's not in computer engineering. So I started working in fitness as a personal trainer and a fitness specialist, but that was not my destiny completely. It was like phases that I have been going through. So Gaby just told me like, let's go to this conference. And then I was like, well, but do you think it's worth? Yes, we need to go. And I was okay. And I was with my husband. I'm not sure. And my husband told me like, just go. I'm gonna pay for it. And I was like, okay. And what is funny is that in that event that I met Gaby, it was my my birthday gift
In Mexico, right?
in Mexico. And actually, my husband, like, birthday was in that event, and I didn't want to go because he will be alone, and he was like, "I want to pay for it." And they just met Gaby. You see how life keep changing, and then I just met Gaby, and then Gaby to like December. That was in November. Then Gaby in December, let's go to this conference. I was like, I'm not sure. My husband like, just go. I'm gonna pay for it. I was okay. So I came to West Palm Beach without knowing what would happen. And then I was like, hey, I was excited, like all these specialists. And then at that point, I was not sure what I wanted to do with my life. You know, I was a personal trainer. I used to work in one of the most important gyms here in the US, like luxury gyms. I was a top trainer in that. But I was not like completely fulfilled, you know? And then I just came to the conference, and then we were talking about what Gaby just said, like about like, you know, so many researchers, doctors, and things like that, and we are the ones that we know the list. So maybe we are in the right place because we have so much to learn. And then I just like all the speakers and all of that. I was so excited. I was taking notes. We were early every single day, and we were paying attention. And then this guy just getting to the stage, Dr. Robert Sideways. And then he started talking, and I was like, wow, with all the conference. And then he started talking about ultra runners. And at that point, I was okay, I understand this language. And then when he started talking about ultra runners, because I'm a marathoner, and at that point, I was already a marathoner. At that point, I already ran New York City Marathon as a high carb marathoner. And I already ran New York City as a low carb marathoner.
Which is hard to get into, by the way.
It is, and I just did it. And then I remember that he started talking, and I was like, every word that he was saying, I was like, oh my God. And then I started discovering things about me. And then he talks about ultra runners developing diabetes type 2, including Professor Tim Knox. And that was like, wow. I remember that in my mind, this is hard to explain because everything went silent. And then I was like, okay, so what I was doing, I was just having all this carb loading every single Friday. And then marathon training is 20 weeks. So every Friday for 20 weeks, I was doing a carb loading. And then the day of the run, I just wake up and have oatmeal. And then with bananas. And then I was going for my runs. And then I was having gels every 45 minutes. So insulin spikes. And then when I finished, I was with a massive headache, like a migraine. And again, I was eating maybe pizza or burgers or French fries or something like that because I'm a marathoner.
You've been there many times.
So I can do it, you know, because I ran for 3 hours. So I definitely can do it. So I was like, wow. And then I went a little bit farther. And then I remember my running mates. I was like, oh my God, I'm a low carb runner, but they are still high carb. This is huge. And then I just went a little bit farther, and I picture myself in the race with hundreds of runners doing exactly the same thing. And the runners just opening the gels and chewing, like squeezing those gels and destroying. I was like, this was a wake-up call for me. It was a call at that moment. And that moment, I just felt in that talk that my mission, it was spreading this message on the sports community, specifically in the running community. I was like, that's my community. Yeah. I cannot just listen to this, learn this, and do nothing. I have to do something about it. So I was like this. And then when he finished the talk, I just approached to Dr. Sideways, and Gaby was there. I was like, you know, I run marathons. Do you think that I can really do it in that way? He was like, yes, you can. But do you think that I can do it without eating? Yes, you can. And then I was like, but do you think that I should? No, you're going to be okay.
What is it?
It was just have some salt.
That's it.
And then I was like, really? Yes. He was like leaning in the wall. And then he was like, just salt. Are you sure? Yes. And I was like, okay.
That's right.
That's it.
That's him. And I was like, yes. And then I was, okay. But I was so excited. And then my life changed in that talk because I was, okay, I'm going to do this in my mind, you know? And then in that point, I decided to do a marathon. There was Barcelona Marathon in March 2019 in ketosis, because I know so many people have done this in ketosis. But in my community, they don't see this. So if it is not me, who? So I was like, I am going to do it. And I'm going to show them that it's possible. So I started preparing. Gaby was one of my biggest supporters in this process. And I started incorporating some fasting.
And you were
these
working on your
processes.
fasting.
Yeah, we started incorporating all of that. Actually, you didn't know this. My first run in fasted state, it was in West Palm Beach. One of the days of the talks, I was like, Gaby, you can do it. I was like, but do you think I can really do it? You can do it. And I went for my first run, 5 miles, and I felt great. I was like, oh my God, I didn't have to eat anything. You're going to be fine. So the day of the marathon arrived, and then I just had my dinner the day before at 8 p.m. in Barcelona, Spain. And then the day of the marathon at 6 a.m., I just had a cup of coffee with 1 spoon of MCT oil, 1 spoon of ghee, and went for my run. Then during the run, it was not a cold day. It was a warm day in Barcelona. Actually, it was not an easy run. And actually, the inclination in that city is not easy. They have a lot of hills. That's hard. You're a runner. You know, when you encounter, like when you have a hill, it's like a huge challenge. When you have 20 miles
and
when you have 20 miles in your legs, it's even more challenging. You just run with your heart. You don't run with your legs anymore. So the thing, but I had ketones at that moment. So the thing is that I was doing my run, and then I was still scared, you know, and the preparation during all this marathon training, I was always bring with me my bacon because I didn't know if something would happen to me. Never happened, and I never had to eat the bacon in the training, in the long runs. Never.
That's a shame. That would have been funny if you got to eat the bacon.
Well, you know, people was like, oh my God, can I just take that bacon? And they just trash this schedule.
Yeah.
And then I just finished. I felt great. I just had water and salt during the entire marathon. Finished the marathon. Listen to this. 14 minutes faster.
Wow.
It was
14
minutes faster. And I felt fantastic. I just finished the marathon. And then after just finished, Gaby was supporting from California and asking like, how's she doing? How is she doing?
Yeah, we're on FaceTime.
You see, with my husband. And then I just finished. I couldn't believe it. I remember, this is so funny. When I finished the race, you encounter a lot of like energy drinks and the middle of the race and gels. Some people give you like fruits and things like that. And when I just finished, I was feeling fantastic, tired. You just ran 26 miles.
Course, yeah.
But the guys from the race, I was about to leave the race. It was like, did you hear you have some fruit? I don't want to have the fruit. You need to have some fruit. I was like, I don't need to. And they were so scared because I believe that the words that she's getting sick, so she doesn't realize that she really needs
She's losing her mind.
She's losing her mind slowly. And then I was like, I'm okay. And they were so worried. I was like, with all the responsibility, I don't want the fruit. I'm okay. I just want my medal, and that's it. And they were okay. Your responsibility, my responsibility. I'm okay. I left the run, and then come to family. We were all celebrating. And at that point, I was like, I'm gonna go walking to the hotel. So I went walking. I stretched. I got my shower, my foam rolling routine, and then I had my first meal like around 4 p.m. that afternoon. First meal after the coffee, just water. Felt fantastic. My husband, who is great, just took me to Paris the next day to visit the catacombs. There are like 500 steps. And I was like, really? The day after a marathon? I did it properly and I felt great.
Wow.
The recovery is the best.
That is what I've found most astounding. Is how quickly you recover.
Amazing. It's unbelievable till you go through that recovery.
Yeah.
It's
You won't believe it unless you actually experience it yourself.
You don't believe it. You can listen from everybody till you go through it.
Yeah.
So I felt great, but the thing doesn't stop there. It doesn't finish there. I was like, you know what? I need to do this with athletes. Because again, if it is not me, who? In the Latin community, at least, you know, because maybe in the English speakers we have so many people, but in the Latin community, nobody talks about that. It's all about gels. It's all about Gatorade. It's all about like energy drinks.
And we're always 10 years behind information. We just probably, I wouldn't say 10 years. Maybe 10 years was probably 10, 20 years ago that we were 10 years behind information.
But maybe now
But
5.
now, because I will say 5.
Yeah.
Not to get the information, to process the information, to accept it,
to take it on.
to take it on.
So
There's
the thing-
resistance.
It's true. And the thing is that I was like, if it's not me, who? And then, of course, at the beginning, I was
It's
scared.
like me doing my speech, right?
Ryan Lowry.
If not us, then who? And if not now, then
Then when?
So I finished my opening remarks.
So true.
All my
It's
talk.
just like that. You just have the
should do
courage
it
and
flat.
do it. And then I was scared, of course, because I was like, maybe not good enough. you know? And then I was like, yes. And Gaby was always like, you can do this, Loly. I don't know anybody who knows more than you in this. And I was okay, because I documented my entire process. Like, actually with the keto module, I was like taking all the measurements. I was measuring, I was documenting every single day how that changed, how was all those values, measuring my glucose, my ketones. I learned so much. And then I started training with my friends. And then I'm already certified in nutrition. So I was okay, so I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna be scared anymore. And you know what? You remember that I told you I was not completely fulfilled? Because now I'm a keto coach and I help athletes to get keto adapted. And that's what I do. And actually, like a couple of weeks ago, one of my athletes, he's a triathlonist, just sent me in a text message with the photo of his email. He just qualified for the Team USA trials.
What?
That's so cool.
You know?
That's amazing.
I still get like so excited
That is
about
so
it.
cool. You too.
So you remember, Pam, that you just say that people can change paths?
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
So I'm a computer engineer. That's always going to be with me. I love it. And then I'm a personal trainer, but I was not completely fulfilled. You know what I love? Helping athletes to be keto adapted. I don't want to see any more athletes with diabetes type 2. I don't want to see that anymore.
No.
That's on me. I'm going to work every single day to create awareness about being healthy athletes.
Because, you know, I mean, that's so true. People always associate type 2 diabetes with obese people. It's not true.
Unhealthy people.
At least a third of the people that have type 2 are skinny, malingy people like your dad.
A third.
And not that he has type 2 diabetes, but he's skinny like your dad. Right? But I mean, Verta Health has just gone wild. It's so good. That was started by Sami Inkinen. And Sami was a world champion triathlete, and he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Professor Noakes.
Yeah, well, Prof. Noakes was way down the line. You know, he wasn't running as actively, and he wasn't
Not as an elite.
He wasn't in the days like me 20 years ago when I was running 100 miles a week and running those 55-mile races. But
you were definitely on your way to being.
yeah, I was way that
We
35 pounds that I
Yeah,
put on
we all
was
were.
just shocking.
But when, like Sami Inkinen, you were talking about, and developing a huge program, and now it's a multi-million-dollar organization. Well, not multi-million in revenue, but multi-million in funding right now, so they can reach millions of people to try this, not only athletes, but around the world, to make sure that type 2 diabetes epidemic is curbed. And I feel like that's a real big part of our challenge and mission.
And that is exactly what, I'm not an athlete.
I'm not
I'm a cheerleader.
I'm not a runner. I tried to be a runner
I'm
for
a
7
cheerleader.
years. And,
I
that
cheer her
was
up.
a great
Yeah.
cheerleader.
I'm like
too.
Gabby, how is the only way to see you running?
If you see me running, you run too.
Something just happened. You better run.
You better run.
Must be something going on.
Something's going on, yeah. But my area is more into empowering the patient.
Yeah.
We have lost so much power as patients. We do not dare to talk to a doctor. We do not dare to ask questions. And when you are diagnosed with a condition, your job is to become a specialist on that condition. And nobody should know more than you about that condition, because then now that's yours. It was given to you as a badge, not of honor, but as a badge. Now you have to wear it and you have to understand what is that about. And then you have to, the more you know about it, the faster or for sure you're going to get rid of it eventually.
It doesn't have to define you.
It doesn't have to
No.
define you.
My most favorite thing is diabetes is not chronic and progressive. So many people have been taught over the last, it's only been a couple of decades
It's been
where
a death
it's so
sentence.
prevalent. Before that, nobody was getting type 2 diabetes. It was a disease of an 80-year-old. It took that long to develop something. But to be told now that it's chronic and progressive, and then you're just going to have to live with this disease, and then all these complications are something that are inevitable for you. They are not. It is a disservice for anybody to hear that from anybody.
And that's my mission.
Your mission.
Yeah.
That is unacceptable. Do not take that and you don't leave that doctor's office until you ask questions. And the biggest question is, what's the root of my problem?
Yes. What causes?
Why?
Is it-
Ask questions. We don't dare to. Because, I mean, let's go back in time. There were the shamans of the doctors has in hierarchy,
yeah.
Hierarchy.
hierarchy. You guys,
Hierarchy.
hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were always, of course. I mean, you wouldn't dare to, but now we have to, because now we're developing diseases that we
Didn't have before.
didn't have before.
So how can we expect our doctors to be the experts of that if it's something new?
When they're sick as you are,
And they are also. That's true.
that's true.
That is true.
And I want to know, I want to have a connection with you, but I'm also going to ask you, because you're not supposed, you don't owe me anything, doctor, but unfortunately, you're supposed to know a little bit more than I do. And unfortunately for you now, I have more access to information than I used to do before. And I want you to help me, and I want to help you even become a better doctor so you can help others. But we're going to have to work together. Guess what? You're screwed. Now you just gave me a diagnosis, and now I'm giving you your biggest nightmare, which is going to be me. I'm not leaving. You're going to help me to figure this out. You're not going to prescribe me. You're going to help me to figure this out. What is the root of my disease? And it's usually food.
Yeah, but so many of them will never get to at least not now, will ever get to just working out that it's food. You need, who was it that was on the stage this weekend? It was one of the speakers was there. The whole theme of their talk was like, and if your doctor doesn't tell you this, then pull a face or something and walk out the door and go and find another doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it a number of times throughout his talk, was like, don't accept this. If your doctor does, it was a whole lot of different things. It was like, if your doctor tells you this, and raise your eyebrows, get up and walk out.
That was
Brian,
Brian, I think so. Brian
Lenskes,
Yeah,
was
I
it
think
him that
so.
was
I think
saying?
that's
Yeah.
it.
I forget who. Yeah, maybe it was. I forget.
But that is just what we need to.
But it was the
do.
theme right through the whole thing. There's all these different things. If your doctor tells you this, don't take it. Stand up and leave.
But then,
You know?
like Gaby's saying, we can all be a part of the education process, because I've heard so many patients are teaching their doctors because they're so busy. They didn't learn this in medical school because it's new.
Yeah.
There's new information. There's studies coming out every day. They don't have time to read all the studies. We're online. We're reading books. We're watching documentaries. We're studying and investigating, and we're all a part of this, where patients are teaching their doctors, and then their doctors are saying, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I need to look this up. Plant the seed. I keep hearing seeds being planted. You may not have all the information right away. You can't give it all right away, but to disempower somebody by saying just walk out, you have to try. I mean, maybe that doctor's not open to it. Maybe you're just planting the seed. Maybe you're not starting the conversation that minute. Maybe you do have to leave. There is a time to leave if the conversation is not going somewhere. That's to be said, right? I mean,
The worst thing we can do for our health and for our community is to live in comfort. Make them uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. That is when you're going to move. You're going to move away from uncomfortness.
that's a good point, because I think
You got to be
we've
uncomfortable.
all learned, and maybe this is new in our society, of not confrontational, not confronting the issue, the big elephant in the room, not rocking the boat. I know that, we have that in our families, we have that in our classrooms, our medical offices, wherever. Don't rock the boat, don't cause conflict.
As
But
long
you're
as you
right,
do it
be
with
challenging.
compassion,
Do it with
with
compassion.
respect,
Yes.
then you're fine. Then you're within your right to, you're uncomfortable, and it's okay for you to be uncomfortable too.
Very good point.
We're here because we were uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me to talk to you the first time I saw you downstairs. But you need to get out of your comfort
Didn't
zone.
seem like it. It was like.
Well, I want to add something. Actually, it's like when you say like we were so excited. Actually, we were so excited. You know what? I think like from weeks before. We were like, oh my God, we are gonna really like meet again in this conference. I think like it was like how do you say, implicit or something like that we were like, I think every year we are gonna go to that conference, because we had that feeling that everything changed that day, you know. And
that was like your anniversary almost.
It's our anniversary of the new Loly, the new Gaby, and also of so many people like improving stuff that we don't even know. And that's huge, you know.
But that is the thing that your conference gives. Yeah. We lost our conference virginity with yours.
Yes.
We were virgins.
Yes.
That was the first one. And then we went to another ones.
But this is the best.
But I have to tell you the fact that you have access, direct access through those dinners. You guys have no idea. I mean, it's amazing during the day, all the information we consume, but it's just like one way. The presenter is on stage and you're there, you're passive, you're learning, you're taking notes, not taking pictures because he gets
please don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't
Put the
dare.
phone down.
Yes.
But you're there. But it's a one-way presentation.
Don't do questions.
More than one.
No,
yes.
you just need to go to the end of the row, please.
To the back of the line.
We learn.
Which is
we
very
pay
cool.
attention.
I like that, by the way.
And
but then you have the night. Even if you don't talk to that person, the fact that you're there sharing a meal, it is so powerful, because all those walls of like, those are the specialists, those are, that's the empowering that I'm talking about.
We're all people.
Yes.
We're at the same
Yes.
level.
Oh my gosh, he eats. Look. Oh, and he's drinking wine. Oh my gosh. And then it's just like, now I understand that we are definitely all part of the same world. It sounds corny, but it's true. We're all humans, part of the same world, and going through exactly the same.
I think you said something through the weekend, somewhere along the time, that I sort of alluded to, but you kind of said it right out, is that we, as humans, we need to belong, and we need a community. And we became aware of that only that was like the first West Palm Beach event that we did. And I wasn't like in as much of a tailspin now, because I had done it, and it was smaller for one thing than the first San Diego one. Plus I'd now done it once. And so I was able to sit and kind of observe what was going on, as opposed to be completely focused on what else needed to happen now, or what was coming up next. And started to become very aware of how important it was to so many of those people to have a place where they could come and feel safe. And so it was like from that weekend onwards that it became more of our mission to provide and cultivate a community than to put on events. And putting on events was part of giving people those platforms to present that information, opportunity for you to come and learn it. And people ask, why not just listen to the live stream or whatever? And yes, you get the information, but you will attest to this, that being there and being part of that environment is 100 times more powerful than just listening to the actual talk,
Which is a great tool.
Right, it's a great talk, and if you really can't make it, second best, you get to listen to the talk.
But my recommendation for absolutely everybody who will listen to this podcast, which is going to go viral, you know that.
Just be prepared.
We're going to put subtitles, and we're just going to take it to Latin America. Yes. I'm certified, and so is Loly. We have certifications. I have 10 because I had nothing else to do. I was bored to death. We are studying, and I'm just getting certifications.
You have nutrition certification.
Yeah, I started several. Yeah, all of them. But I won't invest on a certification anymore. And I stopped doing that 2 years ago when I first came to your conference. And those are my certifications. That's my investment. That, like, from now on, I mean, back then I made that decision. I won't do another certification. I need to come to this. This is my investment. Because this is where you get things literally out of the oven. This is when you just get that one-on-one experience. This is when you get that interaction. This is when you just like understand what's actually happening, because it's happening so fast. and it's so new and it's so changing, like every single day, that certification, that curriculum was written 6, 7, 10 years ago. And there you are in your little closet. My office in my house is a closet. So I come out of the closet every night. But yeah, you're there and you're learning. Great. Just for that little paper that you just get in the mail and you just put in your office. You're missing all this. And you guys are just doing this. Like you were just bringing real life, like just that information that is just happening. It's just happening.
The research that was just done.
Just done.
Paper that was just published.
Ignacio's, I'm very close friend to Ignacio. And since he started, he's such a nerd. He started studying like in August, preparing
everything from us.
Oh gosh, he was just driving us crazy and just studying and just making all his research and all that. There was just part of his presentation. He had to change it. I'm just, Ignacio, sorry, I'm telling this in public.
He probably doesn't
But
mind.
no, he's fine.
Just two people are like listening to this.
Part of the presentation that he gave last night, which was a beautiful way to end this weekend, especially right after Dr. Saez, because he was just so connected.
Wow,
Those two, yes, Saez.
With a V.
Saez.
Pronounce the W as a V.
Saez.
Saez.
Yeah.
What? Saez.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, Dr. Saez.
I'm sorry, Dr.
Ah,
Saez.
we're going
You will
to say
totally-
He's my new friend. And then
Mhm.
later
But,
I'll let you know why.
there was a base, going back to Ignacio's story, that was based on a research that came out on December 17th. In December, like less than a month ago.
Yeah.
I mean, a month ago.
4 weeks ago.
So it's so quickly and it's changing so quickly and it's just happening so fast that he grabbed that, he fell in love with that results of that research that he changed a little bit. He tweaked it a little bit, his presentation, and he added that because he needed to bring it to us.
Yeah.
That's what we're consuming. That's where we are just getting firsthand. That's priceless. And thank you.
Oh, she's no, thank you, honestly, because without people like you, first of all, coming,
Taking a chance on us.
you know, you didn't know anything before you came. You saw this LowCarbUSA thing, and you came, and we owe you a huge debt of gratitude just for taking that chance. But much more than that was like a year later. That experience of sitting there with you on Thursday night was priceless for us, for me especially, because that's what makes me get up. God made me get up this morning and start working again on next year. You know.
One of the things that I remember that I told you that night, I can say there is like, don't believe that you didn't touch other people's lives. You really touch other people's lives, and these are the stories of people that we know. You don't know how many people will just say something, maybe in a party, you know, that I discovered this, and then that person is like, and silence, go do something and change their lives. So I just can say thank you, you know, because like you are just trying to do something to create awareness, and we were like with that like nutrition style that we were born like as human with, and then it's prevention, you know, and that's what we all need to go. You are bringing health for the people who are just trying to look for healthy lifestyle, and also for people who are sick. I told you that day that my mom was diagnosed with cancer last August. And when I got the diagnosis, I remember that I knew what to do. And I knew what to do in the exact moment, because one of the speakers last year in Palm Beach was Miriam Kalamian.
That's right.
And Miriam Kalamian has a beautiful, because it's not just great, it's a beautiful book about cancer. And that book is able to teach any person. You don't need to be an expert to learn about how to deal with cancer with your relatives and your loved ones or anybody. You can be like a professional and also like a person without any knowledge about nutrition or things like that, or biochemistry. And you are going to learn how to do it. And you are going to learn how to help people. You are going to learn how to be a caregiver. And that's huge, because that day I want to say thank you. because you helped me that day without knowing it. It's a hard day because
And
it's not easy. It's not easy to listen that your mom has cancer. Your mom has a tumor in each breast. And then that day, I knew what to do. And you know what I knew what to do? Because of you. Because I was here in West Palm Beach. And then I was paying attention to that conference. And I took notes. And I was like, when I heard, like, my mom called me. I'm sorry, but I have cancer. And I'm going to get surgery. I don't know what to do. Everything was confused that day. I was okay because I'm strong. And then I was, okay, that's okay, mom. We are going to figure it out. As soon as I just finished my talk with her, I just went to Amazon and ordered the book. I got it. And I will say that I swallowed the book. And Gaby knows that. And I teach her. That was in August. My mom got her surgery in September, and the tumor were removed. In October, she started with hormone treatment and other medicines. And now in December, she started with radiotherapy. And we are in January, and my mom has had 0 side effects. So I don't know how many research we have about keto diet and cancer. I just have my mom's story. And my mom's story is fantastic. Yes. I see my mom happy, and my mom suffered of depression. My mom is happy. My mom is very healthy, even though that she's still healing about other things. That's what I know. That's what I have. And I just wanted to say thank you. Because you helped me without knowing it that day in August. So this is about that. I think that Gaby and I, we always talk about that nowadays. There is no excuse. We need to know how our body works. And also we need to know about how to fuel our body so we can make better choices. Because this is the only body that we have.
So true.
And these conferences are about that.
I'm so glad you gave Miriam a shout out there, because she is one of the finest people I know. And you're right that we missed her this year. And that book that she's written is priceless as well, like you said. So.
We have a list on LowCarbUSA under great books, and it has Miriam Kalamian's book. It's written with love. She wrote it after her son had cancer, and they helped him with a better quality of life with nutrition, fuel his body. And the most important thing about low carb and healthy fats and enough protein is it's helping, like Stephen Tucker said yesterday or Saturday, helping to help healthy cells stay healthy. Yes. They're not getting damaged from the chemotherapy and the radiation during treatment because of their cancer cell structure doesn't have a way to protect itself as well, but healthy cells do. And it's a really powerful tool to use during that such traumatic treatment. But everybody thinks it's so radical, but surgery and chemotherapy and toxic chemotherapy, which is poisoning, is radical. And the other book is Nature Winter's book. If you haven't been to San Diego yet, you'll get a chance to meet. Nature Winters also has a great book, Metabolic Cancer Therapies, which is also in there. And Stephen Tucker has been a great resource. Just so many aspects to this nutrition that we're talking about athletic performance. We're talking about quality of life. We're talking about weight loss. We're talking about cancer treatment, therapy. We're talking about type 2 diabetes, but we hear there's so much more throughout the conference. Mm-hmm. And thank you for telling everybody the benefit and the value that you got out of it. It's really hard. We're not marketers, and it shouldn't be marketing and selling. We have a hard time conveying because it's what everybody else feels about it. We have a hard time putting it into words of what other people feel about it, what other people get about it. And you make us cry telling us that we're making a difference in your life. And I mean, we wanted to make a difference, but we just had no idea.
But you guys are. But you did.
Yeah.
So for many more Thursday nights.
Yes. Yeah, you girls need to start a podcast.
We are going.
Gaby and Loly
are decided.
You must.
After last night.
No, it's decided already, man. Come on.
We'll do.
And I mean, you guys in different parts of the country, but you can still, I mean, look at Tro and Brian.
So true.
The ones in New York and ones in San Diego.
Yeah.
They get on Skype or Zoom or whatever they use, and get their host on, their guest on, and off they go. And can all three be in different ones. Sometimes like Iva's in Ireland.
Yeah.
I'm gonna torture Brian to figure it out so we can do it.
It doesn't. It's a little bit of equipment. And it doesn't take a lot to get it going.
No, and you
We
can do
have
it
so
remotely.
much to say.
You have
Do you think
so
so?
much, and so much to teach. I mean, just think about them. Brian wasn't able to do low carb. He didn't know low carb for himself. He was struggling with his own health issues. Came to the conference when he started learning a little bit more, started teaching his patients, making a difference. But him and Tro, not only are they making a difference in the patients and their direct patients in their direct care, but they've reached over 1 million downloads on their podcast. And I don't know how many people we had come to the conference because they were going to be there to meet, to tell them that they made a difference in their lives. And that was just maybe 10 people that chose to come to this conference, but all of the hundreds of thousands of people that are changing, and the other ones that were still like, let me investigate more. But then you guys can do the same.
We are going to do it.
We will.
We will.
We have no choice.
How can people follow you, connect with you?
Yes.
Gabby and Loly, you each have a separate account right now.
Yeah, very easy at Gaby Ondrasek. That's my social media.
Say that again slowly.
Gaby Ondrasek.
Ondrasek.
Gaby, Gaby, Ondrasek, Ondrasek.
We'll put
Very
it in.
Venezuelan.
I will put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the notes as well.
Yeah. Mine is Loly. It's very easy. LOLY _FIT. And you get Loly Fits. You can find me in Instagram, also in Twitter.
I will even follow you on Twitter because I don't think we have done that yet.
I don't do Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, my
Just
bigger one is
Twitter,
Instagram. So
yeah.
I think both of us on
Instagram
Instagram we
is
share
my
like as much as we can.
And I'm going to ask you to help me get more Hispanic people here next year.
We will.
We will. You don't have to ask. We are already doing
Next
it.
year, in a year,
Because like last year, I don't know, did you come because we were doing that Latino Day or anything, or you didn't even?
I couldn't
Didn't
care
have
about the
anything.
Latino
Okay.
day.
Because you're learning
But
English
since
already.
since last year, having that extra day just cost way too much money in the translation, and it didn't work out. It was a good idea, but it just didn't work. But in the meantime, like even this time, I asked Ignacio to promote it, and Tony and a couple of other Hispanic people too. And we had more than and then I realized.
And we would have had more from Puerto Rico, I guess, because of the state of the island with the earthquakes, people had decided to
That's
stay
right. There was a
home.
few that didn't come from Puerto Rico. But there was a whole contingent from Chile.
And Argentina also.
Which is a big deal though, because that's far.
It's
So
far.
far away.
People
But
came all the way from there.
So even though what I've realized or decided, and I think somebody from El Salvador or something kind of said to me, look, for us, there are those of us that can speak enough English to learn what you're teaching in English and then take it to our communities in Spanish. And then obviously all the people in the US that are Hispanic, most of them at least, especially the ones that are in medicine or have a tertiary education, they all speak enough English as well. So don't waste your money trying to do something in Spanish, at least not at this level. And I think the next step maybe is to find a way to do something that does work for the genuinely Hispanic community, where we do it in Spanish. We do like a 1 day, bring in all you people that and don't have translation and all of that. It's all straight in Spanish. And it's like 1 day we hire out a cheap venue somewhere so we can charge $10 or whatever, and maybe do something like that.
That's great. And actually you record always, and that's gonna be good for the people who can come. It's gonna be an excellent experience.
Right.
And for the ones that cannot come, you still have the access if you have like
We have a recording.
So
And we'll find a way in that situation, if we don't have huge overheads of the huge AV system and the massive hotel bills and all of that. If we can do away with that, then we can afford to literally charge $10 and maybe $5 for the recording or something. And that way we'll make it accessible to that community.
And I would say like definitely Florida,
consider ourselves
Miami or something.
your gosh, I forgot that word.
I was so scared. I was like, what she's
Right
gonna
at the
say?
wrong
She's getting
moment.
prepared. to
Yes,
say
I was going to
something.
say something. You're ambassadors for
Yeah.
Low Carb USA.
Yes, we are
Thank
your
you.
ambassador. Like
That-
proud
That is a
ambassador.
deal that we are just doing right now.
Yes. yes.
We're gonna be
handshake.
the
It's-
ambassadors for you guys.
I said when I was on the stage and I was talking about Adele, I struggle to find words to describe how much I appreciate what she did for us in producing those clinical guidelines. And it's kind of the same with you. Just to describe how much it means to me to hear how much we've been able to influence you and your lives and the people that you can reach. And hopefully this is the beginning of something great.
It is.
It
I
is.
have, when you have that certainty, I have it. So it's gonna be. Yeah.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you
you.
for
Thank
having
you.
us.
That was a perfect ending.
You've been listening to an episode of the Low Carb USA podcast. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/lowcarbusa.